So you want to apply a ceramic coating on your vehicle, but you're not too sure what kind of steps do you have to do, what preparation, what decontamination, how do you wash the vehicle, basically all the steps from beginning to the end before you actually apply the paint protection. So this video is for you, regardless if you're a DIYer, a professional detailer, an enthusiast, it doesn't matter. Today we're applying on my brother's vehicle, so that's his Mazda CX-5. It's a 2020 model, so it's a little over 5 years of age at this point. And we're going to be applying the Clean by Pan the Organizer 8-year ceramic coating. We also have a 3-year coating in the lineup, and we're going to be using the entire Clean by Pan the Organizer lineup of products, tools, and equipment. And by the way, guys, don't worry, I'll make sure to include all the links to the tools, products, and equipment in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Also, if you're shopping on the House of Rags for the Clean by Pan the Organizer products, use code PAN, P-A-N, when you're checking out and get a 10% discount. And also, I remind you, if you're over the 125 USD threshold in the US, well, you get free shipping as well, so might as well take advantage of all that. And also, we launched the lineup on Amazon in the USA at the moment of this filming, but the products are also available in Canada, in the UK, in Europe, in Australia, in Brunei, soon in Japan, Korea, many countries to follow as well. So check all of that out. So it's very simple, the Clean by Pan lineup, but what we're teaching today is going to apply regardless of which brand of products you're using, what ceramic coating you're using. The general principles are always the same. So we're going to start with the wash process to get the vehicle clean. So for that, we're going to use the Clean by Pan the Organizer shampoo. Now this one here, when you dilute it in your bucket, you can also use it in a foam cannon, as you'll see in the video. It's a pH neutral solution, but if you want something with a bit more bite, also in the lineup coming soon, this is the final formula, but not the label yet, but we have an alkaline higher pH Decon shampoo. So if you have a lot of road grime and a lot of butt guts and all that stuff, and you want to do a good pre-wash with the foam cannon, note that you'll have that. Also, we're going to do some decontamination steps to remove brake dust. So that's going to be the iron remover. This is the Clean by Pan iron remover, final formula again, but we don't have the final labels yet because we're adding new products to the lineup. But this you're going to see is pretty cool. We're also going to do mechanical decontamination to remove any other embedded contaminants that are in the clear coat. And we're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer clay towel, a synthetic perforated decontamination towel. Doesn't have any abrasives in there. So if paired with proper lubrication, you're not going to be marring the surface. So that's one cool thing, but that's to remove, again, the embedded contamination. And you can pair it with the iron remover from Clean by Pan because this can act as a clay lubricant. So those are compatible together. Not all clay lubricants can be used for iron removers because you have to use one if you pair it with a clay towel. You have to use iron removers that don't contain any solvents because you don't want to be ruining the material that's on the clay towel. Next, we're going to be machine polishing the surface using the Clean by Pan the Organizer spray polish. Fantastic polish. It cuts quickly, finishes down nicely. You can use this as a compound if paired with a cutting pad, or you can use it as a polish if you pair it with a polishing pad. So one product does it all. It removes the guesswork from you guys having to try to figure out which compound you need, which polish do you need, what pads, all that stuff. Now on this vehicle, the paint is relatively in good condition. So we're going to be doing a one-step paint correction, meaning we're going to only polish the vehicle to prepare the surface. We're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer blue foam polishing pad. So a 5-inch backing plate on this one. We have them in 6-inch and 3-inch variants as well. But we're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer machine polisher, 15mm dual action polisher with a 5-inch backing plate. That's why we have the 5-inch pads. 1100 watt motor. Ergonomics are amazing, but it's the price on this, only 150 USD. So you don't have to spend $700-800 to get a machine polisher. This is very good bang for buck. Super long cord with a swivel at the end so it doesn't tangle up, 30-foot cord. So yeah, tons of power. It's smooth to use, powerful, more than powerful enough to do all the work. Next, once we're done polishing, by the way, why do we polish? It's to make sure not only to increase gloss and clarity, that's the biggest way, by the way, to improve gloss on your vehicle is through paint correction, right? Machine polishing. That gives the biggest increase in gloss units that are measurable, even more than a wax, a sealant, or a ceramic coating. So paint correction is important. You're going to remove the swirls, you're going to remove the scratches, but more importantly, ceramic coatings need to bond directly to a virgin clear coat that's free of any previous protection. So if you already have a wax, a sealant, or an old coating, the only way to ensure 100% removal is through paint correction or machine polishing. You need that mechanical abrasion of the polish and pads to remove any previous protection that's there. You get 100% clear and virgin clear coat to work with. Once we're done polishing, we're going to be using an IPA solution. So this here is the Clean by Pan Deorganizer Panel Prep Spray. This has a little more than IPA because isopropyl alcohol, or IPA, alone isn't always enough to fully pull out and remove the polishing oils and residue. This one here has IPA for evaporation, but also contains solvents and also surfactants. So that trio together really helps to pull the oils from the clear coat, remove them so you have a squeaky clean clear coat. By the way, you're going to see all the steps in this video, so don't worry, and we're going to talk about them in depth. And next, you're ready for the ceramic coating application. Now, both the 3-year and the 8-year coatings, they come with the applicator that you need inside. Of course, always follow the instructions of the ceramic coating that you're using, but you have an applicator. And of course, we have the ceramic coating bottle. One 30 milliliter bottle is enough to coat 2 average size cars. By the way, this can be used on paint, but also on wheels, on exterior plastic trim, on your glass surfaces, on your lights, your tail lights, even your metal exhaust pipes, all that kind of stuff, pretty much all the exterior surfaces. A little goes a long way, and you're going to see just how easy this is to apply. Now, the advantages of the Clean by Pan, of course, other than the intense gloss, slickness, the resistance to chemicals, the UV protection, all those 9 yards, you're also getting self-cleaning properties, meaning that the vehicle is going to be much easier to clean during your maintenance washes. It doesn't mean that it cleans itself, but it's much easier to clean because dirt and grime sticks less to it. Also, you're getting ultimate slickness. The hydrophobic properties are absolutely wild. So you're going to get very nice, tight, round water beading and also very quick sheeting of the water. By the way, quick shout out to Dimitri's Garage. In a recent video, he did an objective testing and he tested over 20 coatings at this point, and he ranked this one #1 objectively throughout his tests at the end. So this ranked in first place. That's how good it is. Those of you who have tried it, you guys know it often sells out. We're trying our best to keep it back in stock, by the way. But yeah, very easy to apply. Also, big advantage, regardless if you're a professional detailer or a DIYer, there's only 1 hour of curing time needed once you applied it. So that means after an hour, you can drive off in the elements, even if it's raining outside, no problem. Also with this one, no maintenance toppers are needed. We're going to talk about maintenance at the end of the video, but note that with this, just regular washing and decontamination if needed, but you don't need to apply ceramic spray sealants on top if you don't want to. But if you do, of course, who doesn't like to boost gloss and slickness after a wash or every now and then to make sure the performance is still at its peak? Well, we have the Clean by Pan Deorganizer Ceramic Spray Sealant, and we also have the new Clean by Pan the Organizer Quick Detailer. So the Quick Detailer focuses on short-term durability, a few weeks after your wash process, tons of gloss, tons of slickness, amazing product to use. You can use that as often as you want. And the Ceramic Spray Sealant, although it has tons of gloss and slickness, this focuses more on long-term durability, many months of protection. You can use this as a standalone paint protectant and also has great resistance to chemicals. So you have 2 different types of sprays that you can also use on your coating. So without further ado, let's get started with the first step, which is going to be the pre-wash. So in the Quiver foam cannon, by the way, again, all the links to the tools, products, and equipment in the description, we have the Clean by Pan the Organizer shampoo at the recommended 1:10 dilution ratio. Now, a 1:10 ratio means 1 part of shampoo for 10 equal parts of water. So in a foam cannon like this, with just under 34 ounces of capacity or a liter, the 1:10 ratio can be 3 ounces of shampoo and 30 ounces of water, or 90 milliliters of shampoo and 900 milliliters of water. So that's the 1:10 ratio. Fill that up, mix it up. Always start with the water first, add your shampoo. Make sure you twirl it upside down, inside out. So the pre-wash is basically blanketing the vehicle with a snow foam. You're gonna let it dwell for a few minutes and then you're gonna rinse off. That helps to basically start the breaking down process of the dirt, lifting it, emulsifying it, all that kind of stuff. So we remove the majority of the grit and the bigger particles and we rinse them off before we do the contact wash. So you're reducing the chances of marring the paint when you're doing the contact wash, right? So this we're going to connect to our pressure washer right now. So come with me. So I like to use, of course, the Clean by Pan the Organizer works in the foam cannon. It also works inside your wash bucket. It has great lubrication, a great scent. It rinses off very cleanly and easily. You can even use it in direct sunlight and it will not stain or leave any residue behind once you rinse it. So fantastic product. And that's it. So the vehicle is dry now. I started by pre-washing the wheels and tires off camera. We use the Clean by Pan iron remover as well to remove the brake dust that's embedded, but that's beyond the scope of this video because we're focusing on the ceramic coating application. But just know that I always start with the wheels and tires first because they're the dirtiest parts of the vehicle, so you want to get that done, and then you move and you tackle the rest of the paintwork. Now, for the paintwork itself, I prefer to apply the snow foam on a dry paint. Why? Because you're going to have longer dwell time and clinging time. It's not going to be as runny. So you can also do it if you want to pre-rinse first, but I like to have lubrication on the surface before rinsing, and the Pan Deorganizer shampoo, the Clean by Pan, is amazing for lubrication. So let's go ahead, let's foam the vehicle up. So if you come closer, you can see we're getting beautiful shaving cream-like texture. I don't want it too thick either because we still want it to stick, but this shampoo is known for its big cling time. It has dual surfactants in there and dual stage, you're gonna see when we rinse off. So 2 different types of high quality surfactants that tackle different types of soiling that is on the vehicle. Now, in the foam cannon, we still have quite a bit left. So what you can do at this point, we're going to let it dwell on the surface for a few minutes. By the way, you can work in direct sunlight when you're washing the vehicle, but when it's going to be time to do the machine polishing and the application of the ceramic coating, make sure you're indoors, or if you're outside, you can apply a coating outside as long as you work in the shade and on a cool surface. Never do paint correction or application of a ceramic coating in direct sunlight. The user experience will be horrible and it's going to be very tough to deal with. So we're going to let this dwell now a few minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes, as long as you're not letting all of that dry up for nothing, because depending on which soap you're using, some you don't want to let dry on the surface. For this one, it's fine. Even if it dries in the sunlight, you can rinse off and it rinses off freely with no residue left behind. So once that dwell time is off, is done, we're going to rinse the surface. You can already see, if you zoom up, the clumps here, look at that. So there's some dirt that is stacking up in there. Not too much because the car wasn't too dirty to begin with, but you can see this nice thickness. And the soap now, you see those 2 stages? Come here closer and you're going to see that. There's a primary layer behind that sticks to that surface. And on top, the secondary layer, you can see that it's pulling down the dirt and contamination. So that's that dual stage. It's nice to see it like that. So you're getting all that action, that's what you want. In my situation, of course, depending on what type of pressure washer you're using, what type of foam cannon, the water quality that you have at home. I do have hard water, 178 ppm. I do have a water deionizer for the final rinse, but at this stage, I'm just using regular tap water and it's 178, so it's pretty hard, but I got a good 2.1 gallons per minute pressure washer, so I'm getting tons of foam. I could escape or I could get away with just using 1 ounce in the foam cannon and I'd be fine. So you can adjust the quantity, but a 1:10 dilution ratio for the majority of the snow foams out there is usually the ratio. So when we're going to rinse off, that grit is going to be off now. We're going to be left with maybe what, 10-20% max of dirt. So 80% to 90% of the work, the initial pre-wash stage does that. And then you can either refoam once you rinsed if you want more lubrication and do the contact wash, or once you rinse down, go to your contact wash. I'm not too worried about marring because we're going to be machine polishing anyways, but there's so much lubrication with the shampoo. You can also use this, by the way, as a clay lubricant. We have the dilution ratios on the label and on the website. And you can also use this as a bug pre-treat, the Clean by Pan shampoo. You put it in a spray bottle at the correct dilution. You pre-treat your bug guts before you do your pre-wash on the surface, and it's going to eliminate them very easily. There's a few minutes that went by, so we're going to switch over to the lance, and that way we can start rinsing down the vehicle. Always make sure, by the way, when you're switching quick connects, if you're using a pressure washer, start with aiming it on the floor first. That way, if there's anything that's loose, it's going to fly off on the ground instead of flying off on the vehicle, right? So now that we know that our connections are good, what I like to do, you can rinse from bottom to top or top to bottom, it doesn't matter. As long as you're being methodical, use whatever works for you. So guys, come here now. We can tell on this surface, the water is pretty much flat and dead. It's pooling slowly. There's no water beading. So whatever protection had been there in the past is pretty much fully gone. Okay guys, so we finished with the pre-wash stage, fully rinsed off. So now there's little to no grit left, but still of course a dirt film. So we're going to do the shampoo in the bucket, very simple. You can use the 2-bucket wash method if you want. So 1 bucket with clear water for rinsing the mitt, second bucket with the soapy water, or you can use the 1-bucket method with multiple mitts, multiple towels. It doesn't really matter in this case again, because we're going to be polishing the surface, but note that there are many ways to clean a vehicle. So inside the bucket with the Clean by Pan Deorganizer shampoo, very simple dilution, 1 to 256, which means for 15 liters or 4 gallons of water in your bucket, you'd be using only 2 ounces or 60 milliliters of the shampoo. So we're going to be measuring in a measuring cup 2 ounces in this case, because I'm going to be using 4 gallons or 15 liters of water. So we're at the 2 ounce mark. We're going to pour that in there. It mixes down very, very nicely, so it's not goopy. And then, so to get to 4 gallons, I have 3.5 gallons in there. Why? Because we're going to be activating the suds with the pressure washer. So obviously you're adding a bit of water. Don't overthink the moment. It's fine if you just put the water and the soap and activate it too, but that's the way I prefer to do it. So I stick the lance in the bottom to not have too much suds at the beginning. And then when I'm done towards the end, then I pull it out and it's gonna make it super sudsy. Let's see how we do this. So you can see that it's mixing up right now. So we activate it, then I pull out, and then you're getting tons and tons of foam. We have some cool items that you can use in the Clean by Pan lineup. So we have a kit of boar hair brushes for the exterior, like your wheel and lug nuts, your wheels if you want to do that kind of stuff. So for a bit more heavier dirt removal. And then we also have the ultra soft brushes. So each pack comes in a 2-pack. You get the small and you get the large. For soft surfaces, even on the outside, you have your gloss black plastics, or for example, the grills. You can use that, dip it inside your foamy water. Your emblems, for example, you can use the ultra soft, and you go around and agitate. Basically, we have all the tools that you need, great grip, great ergonomics, and of course, fantastic price. So we have a bunch of tools that you can use to make sure you get into all the intricate areas, and then of course, your wash mitt and the wash solution. Now, when we're washing the vehicle, I like to do the top to bottom method, and you're not applying too much pressure, right? So you're gonna dip that into, yeah, there's tons of lubricity and suds, as you can tell. So I work from top to bottom, and I like to cut the vehicle in 3 sections. So this top tier here, then the second tier up to right about there on the body line, and I keep the bottom for the end. That way you're not cross-contaminating, because the lower parts are the dirtiest parts. So you start by the top portion. Of course, this is the roof. Now, this is not a dedicated car wash tutorial. I have a bunch of tutorials on how you can wash your car on the channel, but you guys get the idea. We're not applying too much pressure here. We're letting the weight of the mitt itself do the work. Just be diligent and cover all the areas. So let the mitt do the work. And as you can see, I'm not doing circles, right? I'm always washing in straight lines. This avoids adding swirl marks to the surface. And then here, of course, never forget the mirror. So yeah, I work from top to bottom, and then you can flip your mitt and then do another section before cleaning the mitt and reloading. And I'm going to show you something in the bucket that is very important, if you ask me, to have in your wash bucket. So this entire process from beginning to end, of course, depends on your level of experience, what size car you have, how fast your pace is, how efficient you are, and all that kind of stuff. But a few hours set aside, don't be rushed, right? So inside the bucket, when it's time to clean your mitt, in the bottom, you should have something that we call a grit guard. So it's a grill like this that goes in the bottom of your bucket, and you're taking your wash mitt, you scrub it on the bottom, and that removes all the grit that you can potentially have in there, and it keeps that dirt particles in the bottom of the bucket instead of in your wash solution. So that is important. The same applies when you're doing a rinseless wash solution. So what we're doing here is, again, making sure we have a clean surface. And why are we doing this before the decontamination steps? Well, you want to remove all of that loose dirt and debris so that the iron remover can actually focus on the embedded contamination that's inside the clear coat. I'm going to flip the mitt, and now we can do the lower portions. So yeah, you're cleaning the vehicle first before you do any chemical decontamination with tar removers, iron removers, and all that kind of stuff, guys. So you do decontamination when your vehicle is actually clean. So here, we're doing the bottom portions now. We're going to rinse away, and then we're going to come back for the next step, which is going to be the chemical and mechanical decontamination. So obviously I'm going to rinse down now, but you do the rest of the vehicle as well. So we're going to do that off camera, but we're going to rinse and then come back for the next step. Now, for the decontamination steps, we're going to be combining both the iron remover, this is the chemical decontamination, and the mechanical decontamination with the synthetic perforated clay towel. So in this case, the Clean by Pan clay towel. The particular thing about this one, if you look closely, well, as the name states, it's perforated. So this lets lubrication go through. In the back, there's a microfiber lining, and this is an ultra fine grade synthetic material. So it doesn't have any abrasives in there. So when you combine it with proper lubrication on the surface, it shouldn't mar the surface. So even for later, for maintenance, for example, you don't use traditional clay bars on a ceramic coating because those are abrasive and they're going to damage the coating. But in this case, you can use this even for maintenance of your ceramic coated vehicles, again, with proper lubrication. Now, very simple for this, we're going to dip it inside either your rinseless wash bucket, or here we already had the shampoo. We're going to slightly wring that out. So now we have lubrication. I like to fold this into 4 sections. So in this case, we're combining it with the Clean by Pan, the organizer iron remover. Now the iron removers, traditionally, they're the most expensive, or some of the most expensive chemicals on the market because of the thioglycolic acid, the TGA. That's the active ingredient that's in there that does that color change, right? So it's a clear liquid. When you spray it and it reacts with the iron particles like you saw on the wheels, it turns to a red or purple kind of tint. So that's to show the chemical reaction. Basically, the iron particles from the brake dust or the environmental fallout or rail dust if you live near a train track, that kind of thing, they embed themselves in the clear coat, those particles, and they have jagged edges. So over time, they start to rust, and hence those orange spots that you see on lighter colored vehicles. You have them on darker colored as well, but they're not as obvious to see. So those are the brake dust contaminations. So those iron particles, when you use an iron remover, this basically creates an oxidation. So it accelerates the rusting of the outer edge of that particle so it can solubilize in water and then flush it away when you're rinsing. Now, not all iron removers can be used as clay lubricants because some of them contain solvents. So the Clean by Pan, the organizer iron remover, can be used as a clay lubricant. And of course, you'd pair it with the clay towel, and not all clay towels can be used with an iron remover as well. Make sure that you use things that are compatible, check with the manufacturer, or in this case, it's pretty simple. Clean by Pan iron remover, Clean by Pan clay towel, very simple. So the way we use this is very effective because normally iron removers, you spray them on all the vehicle and you're wasting a lot of product. In this case, 1 spray or 2 inside your towel, and then 1 spray on the section that you're working on. Put the towel on the part where you put the spray, and then you start scrubbing. So this here, if you come in closer, you can you hear that? So that's sandpaper texture-like material, that scrubbing noise. That's all the embedded contamination that is in the clear coat. So here especially, you hear that? Yeah. So that's the contamination. So when you run your fingers on the surface, I can feel that grit, and we wash the vehicle, right? So you're removing those to get that clean surface before you polish. Always clay the surface before you polish. Plus in this case, we have the combination of the iron remover, so you can reload when needed. So you're doing two actions in one. So crosshatch patterns up and down, left and right until you feel that slick surface. Now you only clay a vehicle that needs it. If the paint is super slick because you clayed it recently or doesn't have any contamination, you can skip the mechanical abrasion and just do the chemical decontamination. So always feel you can put a plastic bag, those Ziplocs, on your hands and then do what we call the baggy test. You run it on top. That amplifies the surface feel. And if you feel, again, that grit or kind of sandpaper-like texture, then you clay. If it feels smooth like glass, well, then you can skip claying. So in this case, you go back and forth. You can switch to a clean side. You reload on the surface and you continue going on. So we have tons of lubrication. You can see that surfactant that's also acting on the surface, helping with the lubrication, but also helping on that deep clean kind of thing. So we're combining, again, mechanical decon. You're saving a lot of time like this, especially if you're a professional. So that's the cool thing. It's the efficiency of the Clean by Pan, the organizer system, and the performance that you're getting. But always in mind that things are easy to use. As you see, this is not complicated at all. Now with a clay towel, and by the way, look at this now. I'm going over it and all you hear is the suds. There's no more contamination. Because here when I run my fingers now, this is glass smooth. Look at that. See? Nothing. So now you know that you've removed it. So you'd go around the entire vehicle doing this. And the cool thing is you can also clay your glass. Don't forget that glass, just like paintwork, has hills and valleys. It's not a true flat surface if you were to watch this on under a microscope. So you can clay the glass surface as well. This is going to deep clean all of that as well. Because with the years, there's pitting that happens just by driving on the roads. And in those pits, there's a lot of accumulated grime. So this really helps to cleanse out, especially the windshield. But you can do your lights, your tail lights, all your glass surfaces. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So this is it, guys. You see, nothing is complicated. And hopefully this is one thing that you're going to take away from this video, is now that you're going to have the knowledge is golden, you're going to be able to duplicate these steps at home, or if you're a pro detailer starting your business, that kind of thing, or you need a refresh. If you've been in the job for a few years and you've never applied a coating, for example, well, now you'll have all the knowledge. So once you're done, it's important, by the way, never let the iron remover dry on the surface. So if you are working outside, don't work in direct sunlight. Never do that with iron removers, and never let them dry on the surface. So once you're done, you can either work section by section and rinse off. In my case, I'm in a garage controlled environment, 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, roughly 45% humidity. So I can go around the entire car. Then I'm going to rinse, and we're going to come back for the next step. Well, actually, after rinsing, dry the vehicle using a microfiber drying towel. And then you're going to have a dry surface to work with, and we're going to come back for the paint correction steps. All right, guys, so all the decontamination work is done. We fully rinsed the vehicle. And how do you care for this? It's actually very simple. First of all, before I show you how simple it is to clean once you're done using the synthetic perforated decontamination towel, compared to a traditional clay bar, what are the advantages, right? So first of all, a clay bar. If you drop this on the floor, this is good for the garbage because it's going to have picked up all that dirt and debris, and you don't want to reuse it. Also, a clay bar is more abrasive, so can do some marring on the surface, so you always follow up with a paint correction step, compared to a synthetic perforated decontamination towel, ultra fine grade, no abrasives, so this, if used with proper lubrication, will not mar the surface. Another thing, these are good for dozens and dozens of vehicles compared to a traditional clay bar, depending on the level of contamination. Typically, you can do 6 to 10 cars at most with a clay bar. Now, the advantages of a clay bar is if you have super gritty contamination, a vehicle that hasn't been detailed in years, well, this, as it's a heavier duty abrasive, that's when you bust one of these out, as if you have super contaminated surface. But anything light to medium, you're going to want to prefer to use these kinds of things. Now, for maintenance, super easy. So we're done using this. You're going to take either a rinseless wash bucket that you have your rinseless media, because that can serve as a cleaning solution, or here we had the soap, the pan, the organizer shampoo in there. So you rinse that out, then you come to a sink or a pressure washer or a garden hose, and very simple, we're just going to rinse this off to get all the soapy solution or the rinseless wash off. You can take your hand, always wear nitrile gloves when you're detailing, by the way, as a precaution. So I'm just scrubbing that front surface. And if you drop these on the floor, by the way, you can just rinse them off and reuse them. So compared to a traditional clay bar, if you drop that, you have to throw it away. With this, all you need to do is rinse it and you can reuse it. So you're done removing all that soapy solution and the suds. Make sure you wring it out thoroughly. Now, what I do is you can either hang it to dry or leave it on a bench to dry. And when it's dried up, you would simply take it. You have your storage container. You would roll it back up as is. Of course, once it's fully dry, you store it inside the box and it's good for the next use. So that's how simple that is. All right, guys, quick pro tip for the wheels. If you guys don't want to remove them to do a full ceramic coating application, there are some other workarounds. You can take the Clean by Pan the Organizer ceramic spray sealant. So the wheel is clean, it's still wet. Right now, there's no hydrophobics, right? No water beading, check this out. So the water is flat because there's no protection on the wheels. So you're gonna take the ceramic spray sealant, always shake your chemicals well before use, and a few sprays on the wheel face. Now for the paint work, you'd use 1 to 2 sprays per panel max because this is very stout. But for the wheels, a little more. Now we're going to rinse from bottom to top and top to bottom to spread and activate the product, and you're gonna see tons of hydrophobics. And now look at that. Come on in close, you're gonna see all the water beading and inside the barrels as well. So a quick way to protect your wheels for a few months, and then it's gonna make them much easier to clean during your maintenance washes and easier to blow dry as well if you use a leaf blower or a car dryer. Because of the hydrophobics, water won't stick, so you dry them a lot quicker. So that's a quick pro tip with the Clean by Pan the Organizer ceramic spray sealant, which you can use on the paint, on the glass, on the plastics, all the exterior surfaces. It just works super well. All right, guys, so the vehicle is now dry, right? So it's fully cleaned, it's fully decontaminated, so there's nothing left on the surface as far as dirt and contamination is concerned. Now we're going to do the machine polishing steps. Very simple. This is not a full paint correction tutorial. I have many of those, including ones for beginners out there if you want to see how all of that works, but the system is actually pretty simple. So this vehicle here, my brother's vehicle, it's his daily driver. When he works, it sits outside all day in the elements, so 110,000 kilometers or roughly 68,350 miles at this point, a little over 5 years of age. So there's some pitting from the rock chips on the paintwork. That, unfortunately, we can do nothing of as far as paint correction is concerned. That's normal abrasion over time. But what we can do is improve the gloss, the clarity, remove any swirls, any scratches that there are on there, and more importantly, make sure that we mechanically remove any previous protection to have a clear coat that is virgin and ready to accept the ceramic coating for a proper bonding. Also, the fact that we're machine polishing, we're using today the spray polish by Clean by Pan the Organizer. So this one here is very quick to cut. It has no dusting. It's pleasant to smell as well. There's a nice fragrance to it. This is body shop safe because it doesn't have any silicones in it. Very little oils, just the necessary ones for lubrication, but it doesn't leave anything behind. There's no fillers. Very important. You're not cheating with this. You're actually doing paint correction. And we're going to be combining this with the Clean by Pan the Organizer blue foam polishing pad, also known as the one-step process. So this vehicle is not that bad. It doesn't have tons of swirls and scratches. That's why a one-step is enough. If you have a lot of swirls, a lot of scratches and oxidation, you'd want to start with the Clean by Pan wool cutting pad and the spray polish. So that would be your compound step. And then you would continue with the second step with the blue foam polishing pad and the same spray polish for the polishing step. So that's a two-step paint correction if you have more defects to remove. So once we're done, we're going to have a beautiful finish, and we're going to, of course, buff off the spray polish, and then we're going to be using the Clean by Pan the Organizer panel prep spray. This has alcohol, solvents, and also surfactants to really pull out any remaining oils and residue so we can have a squeaky clean virgin surface to work with. So you're going to take the polisher, whichever one you have, in this case, of course, the Clean by Pan the Organizer dual action polisher, super safe, 5-inch backing plate with the hook and loop system. So you have the bolt here and you have a hole in the center of the pad. So you line those up. This is very simple. And then you attach the pad this way. We're going to put it on speed number 1 because we're going to prime the pad. Now you're using a lot less of the spray polish compared to traditional liquid forms because basically 1 or 2 sprays of this is going to be much less than even one pea-sized drop of a liquid polish. So this is going to last forever. By the way, the chemicals in the Clean by Pan deorganizer lineup, typically chemicals have a 1-year shelf life. With the bottled chemicals in the lineup, you get 2 years of shelf life as long as they're not frozen, kept in stable conditions. The ceramic coatings, that's a 1-year shelf life if unopened. And once you open them for the Clean by Pan, they're good up to 6 months if you store them in the freezer. For the rest of the coatings from other brands, usually they're good for 1 or 2 months once you open them, and you don't necessarily put them in the freezer. So just follow the instructions of the coating that you're using, right? So to prime this, we're going to activate the polisher on low speed, speed number 1. While it's spinning, we're going to pull 2 full trigger sprays on the pad, and that's going to prime the pad. And that is it. That's how simple this is. And the Clean by Pan, the organizer spray polish, and the pads are so simple. It removes any guesswork, right? Before I used to have 15, 20 different compounds, 15, 20 different polishes, many different types of pads, and you had to find the guesswork to see what better combination it was for the level of defect removal that you want, what type of paint work that you have. But now this system gets the majority of that work done for you, and it removes the stress. It should be fun detailing, right? So if you have a corded polisher like this, always make sure you put the cord on top of your shoulder. This one is a very long one. So I recommend that you work in smaller sections unless you have more experience. Never work in direct sunlight when polishing cars or applying ceramic coatings, by the way. Always work on cool surfaces. So we're going to leave it on speed number 1. We're going to spread the polish on the surface, and then we're going to bump this up to speed number 5 for the actual cutting step or polishing step. And by the way, since this is just a one-step polish, we're preserving a lot of clear coat because we're barely removing any of that clear coated surface. So there are absolutely no worries in this case. So now that the product is spread out, we're going to bump the speed up, speed number 5. That's what I like to use on the majority of the polishers that you have out there. And we're going to do 1 up and down, that's 1 pass. We're going to do 1 left to right, that's a 2nd pass. We're going to wipe off, we're going to use an inspection light to see the results, and that should be more than good enough. Use slow and controlled arm speed. Don't apply too much weight when you're polishing. Keep the pad flat on the surface and make sure it keeps spinning. So 1, 2, 3, there we go. So when you're done doing 1 pass, what you can do to reload, very, very simple. You'd put it back, speed number 1 on low speed, activate the polisher, and 1 spray for the reload, 1 or 2 sprays as you want. So that's more than enough. And then you bump that back up to speed number 5, and you can continue with the 2nd pass. And that is it. So we're going to wipe off, and then I'm going to explain to you what you do to clean the pad. So take a microfiber towel. The wipe off on this is so easy. There's no dusting, as you saw when you're using it. And that's one thing. Many people struggle sometimes with different compounds or polishes from different brands. Look how easy. I'm not struggling. I'm barely adding any weight to the towel. Circular motion, and we're left with a nice, shiny, glossy surface. I remind you that the best way to have the biggest increase in measurable gloss is always through machine polishing, because you're making that paint flatter and truer. Hence, you're getting better light reflection off the panel. And that's how you're getting a biggest increase in gloss, depth, reflection, clarity, and that pop we all like. And regardless if you have a metallic finish or a non-metallic finish, this polish you can use on any type of clear coated surface. Then we're going to take a second clean and dry towel, guys, and we're going to use the Clean by Pandy Organizer Panel Prep Spray. So this is primed, a few sprays, and then I like to spray some on the surface. This is where you don't want to be stingy. Make sure you cover that surface. Do one pass with the wet side. So the isopropyl alcohol is there for evaporation, but you get VOC compliant solvents and also high quality surfactants into the mix. This really pulls up all the polishing oils and residue so you can get a squeaky clean surface. Then I flip the towel to the clean and dry side. This is also going to reveal the actual level of paint correction that we did with the inspection light. So if you use polishes or compounds from other brands that sometimes contain fillers, the spray polish by Clean by Pan does not have any fillers, so you're getting true correction visually. But with other ones that do contain fillers, when you use the IPA, the panel prep spray, that's when you're going to reveal if you actually did any true correction. So let me grab the inspection light, and then we can have a look. So if you come in closely, let me take this from my brother's hand so I can show you. So all we see is the stone chips, but look how clear and crisp that light is. You see those edges? There's no holograms, no scratches, no swirls. We see that metallic flake pop now. So again, other than the stone chips, all those white dots that you see, that's down to the primer. But the rest, there are no defects. So quite happy with that. And you saw how simple that was. Hold this, Andrew. All right. So now what we're left with, and maybe you can hear this. Let me come in closer. You hear that squeaking sound? It's grabby. That's what you want. So a properly prepped surface should feel grabby at this point because there's no protection. So now we know, because it's grabby, that we're down to the clear coat. And it's going to be time for the ceramic coating application. So we're going to finish polishing the entire vehicle, but in between sections, you always want to work with clean pads. How do you do that, Pam? So depending on what type of pads you use, you can use a pad brush. You can also use an air compressor, although with foam pads, I wouldn't recommend that because you could damage the foam cells. But with wool pads or microfiber pads, you can use an air compressor. But what I prefer is a dedicated pad washer. So this is the Lake Country 4000 pad washer system. Basically inside here, I have 2 gallons of water. And to make sure we have a good cleaning solution, I added 1 ounce for the 2 gallons of water of the Clean by Pandy Organizer Rinseless Wash. Half an ounce for every gallon of water. So you're not using a lot of this, but this is meant to vary with the dual polymer and surfactants that it has. This is a hybrid rinseless wash. It's really going to deep clean the pads. So if you look here, just with a few passes, the pad is already dirty. It's important when you're doing paint correction to work with clean pads. So what you do is you pump the liquid into the pad itself, then operate it at low speed to clean the pad. And then once you're done cleaning, you lift it off a little bit, all still while keeping it on there. You're going to put it at speed number 5, and then you're going to rinse the entire pad off. So if I was to show you how we do this, so you're going to see in there's a cleaning solution. If I press on this to activate it, so there you go. You see how it springs out of there? So a few pumps. So this loads the pad with that cleaning solution. And now at low speed, we're going to run it. Now we're going to lift off just a little bit, all while still keeping it within this ring, right, to prevent splatter all over the place. Put it speed number 6, maximum speed, and let it spin out the remaining residue of water. And then what you're left with, there we go, is a clean pad, so no more dirt and you're good to go. Now, if you use a pad washer and you clean your pad after every section or so or every panel, you can use one pad for the entire vehicle. If you don't have a pad washer, the other technique is to get multiple pads. So for a vehicle like this, I would get 4 to 5 blue pads, and if you have a cutting stage, 4 or 5 cutting pads, and then you swap out pads every other panel, and that way you're always working cleaner, because a clean pad cuts more efficiently. A dirty pad with spent product on there is going to be much less efficient. By the way, guys, while I'm continuing to polish this vehicle, one cool thing with a clean by pan spray polish is that you don't need to tape the plastic trim as you would with other compounds and polishes, because it will not stain the trim. And actually, if you have old faded plastic trim, you can even use this to polish the trim, and you're going to kind of revive or remove that layer of oxidation. So let's give you an example right here. So you come on in and have a look. Okay, there's no staining. So you can remove a light layer of oxidation. And there you go. Now you have some nice trim, and we're even going to use the panel prep spray on this, and then we're going to even ceramic coat the plastic trim, because the coating can be applied on the lights, on the trim, on the paint, on the glass, all the exterior surfaces. So yeah, quick pro tip, you don't even need to tape the trim with a clean by pan deorganizer polishing system. All right, guys, now is the time for the funnest part. We're actually applying the Clean by Pan Deorganizer ceramic coating. This is the 8-year. We also have the 3-year. So the main difference is, of course, durability. But again, you're going to get crazy gloss, slickness, resistance to chemicals, UV protection, self-cleaning properties, making the vehicle much easier to clean, insane hydrophobic properties. So tight, round water beads, great water contact angle, and of course, very quick sheeting of the water. So that way you're less chances of water spotting effects, because you can dry this very quickly just with a leaf blower or a car dryer when you're done washing your car in the future, or a good microfiber towel and a drying aid like the Clean by Pan Deorganizer Quick Detailer, which you can use as often as you want. Fantastic for that. So you take your coating bottle. Again, now the majority of these tips and tricks apply to any coating regardless, but of course always read the instructions that come provided in the coating box. It's very important to follow them. Never apply ceramic coatings in temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. That's way too cold. The coating won't bond properly. It's going to be a nightmare. Ideally, work as close to 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Those are the optimal conditions. Never apply coatings in direct sunlight unless you know what you're doing. So work in the shade and on a cool surface. So you're going to take the bottle. Always shake your ceramic coatings well, especially if it's the first time that you're cracking open a fresh bottle. Now inside the Clean by Pan Deorganizer box, we also have a saver. So this is a microfiber applicator, but if you listen to it, hear that? There's an inner plastic liner. That way it prevents the coating from going through and you're wasting coating, so it stays on top. Now, as you can tell, this bottle I also used to apply the ceramic coating on my parents' Subaru vehicle, and it creates this crust, right, that you see there. So this is the SiO2, or the ceramic components that are in there. You can take just any towel, wipe those shards that are on there. That's why we also throw the towels and applicators after each use in the garbage. So now that we shook this, you're going to see the Clean by Pan Deorganizer is ceramic coating is quite thick. So you got to be deliberate when you're pouring the drops, because also this creates a thicker film build on the surface. So we're going to prime the pad. Don't necessarily count. A bottle goes a long way. 130 ml can easily coat 2 average size cars. So I'm just priming this. I'm not really counting the droplets. You want to make sure you're spreading this. I butterfly the applicator, and next we're going to apply on the surface. I like to use a crisscross pattern, so a cross hatch up and down, left to right. You can also use circular motion if you want. The importance is make sure you get proper and even coverage. So what I like to do first is create a line. You can work in 2x2 sections if you're unsure. If you work in a controlled environment like me, then no issues. You can work bigger surfaces. So I'm going to work half this panel. It is a very forgiving coating. So I'm applying up and down, left to right. If you feel that you're missing some coating and you don't see liquid anymore on the surface, you can just reload with more droplets. and this glides on easily. Now, the majority of ceramic coatings, they give you a visual indicator when it's time to level. Some have, like this one, a rainbowing effect. So like an oil slick on water appearance, so that color change on the surface. And others give you a kind of beading effect. We call that sweating. So it's like if you're going to see these little sweat beads on top. So again, those are indicators. For the clean by pan coating, again, follow the instructions. You have to leave it on the surface for at least 1 to 2 minutes before we're starting to leveling with the towels. So even if you see the rainbowing, like now I can see it on the surface, make sure you wait at least 1 to 2 minutes before you start wiping. We want that coating to bond properly. Now I'm doing the cross hatch, so I'm going left to right. Make sure you do proper and even coverage. Take your time. So after those 1 to 2 minutes, if you feel that the coating is dragging when you're wiping or it feels smeary, then wait a little longer. This one is very forgiving. There's no more stress with ceramic coatings. It's so easy to apply. So you can wait up to 3-4 minutes even before wiping, no problem. So as you can see, I'm working in larger sections so I can coat the entire hood. And actually, if I wasn't recording, I can technically do the entire half of the vehicle, so the entire side in one shot, and then start leveling if I want to. That's how forgiving this coating is, and it's a breeze to wipe off. So gone are the days where you had coatings that you needed 2, 3, 4 layers. This is a 1-layer system. Also gone are the days where you had to worry about high spots and all that kind of stuff. The high spots are those dark spots. If you forget to wipe the coating, it hardens and it creates a dark spot, and the only way to remove those is by machine polishing. But in this case, it's so easy to wipe off, you shouldn't have any issues. If you do see a high spot, that's why it's important to inspect as you're going. You simply reload your pad with 1 or 2 drops. You're going to wipe on the surface and then immediately wipe off with a towel, and that's it. Now, let me take the camera, Andy. I'm going to show the viewers, hopefully they can tell the rainbowing effect. So yeah, we see it. If you look at right here, so you see that rainbowing effect. Maybe we can see it. Yeah, so over there, look at my finger. You see all those? That's the rainbowing. So that's the visual cue. And you can see that on the surface. So this is a rainbowing coating, and there are others, once again, that are beading or sweating type. So now, on one side, it's been roughly 1 to 2 minutes. So Andy, if we look here, what I'm using is a 2-towel system. So the first towel, we're leveling the coating, meaning we're ensuring proper and even coverage. We're picking up the majority of the transfer solution. So I like a lower nap towel, typically pearl weave. I'll leave everything linked in the description. And then you come and you have a secondary towel for the entrance wipe. This is a thicker, plusher towel. I like usually 300 to 500 GSM. That's a personal preference. I just like a thicker, plusher towel for the second towel. So now that it's been 1 to 2 minutes, we're going to see how easy this is to remove. So again, this is such an easy coating to apply. I can leave it here even longer if I want to. There's no problem. So the way that we're going to do now, you drop your first towel and then you're wiping in circular motion. And of course, those who know me right now, you can see me smiling and laughing. It's because it is so freaking easy to remove this. I mean, even my brother who has no detailing experience, he could easily do this on his own. This is meant, it's a professional grade coating, but that everyone can purchase and everyone can apply. So you get professional results, but you don't have to sign up for crazy certification programs or contracts, or you just purchase it and that is it. And the value for money is insane with this one because it's half the price to 1/3 the price of some more expensive coatings, and the performance is absolutely wild. So that's the first towel. Now, for a vehicle, you're probably going to need 3 to 4 of the leveling towels and 3 to 4 of the second buff insurance wipe plusher towels. So you switch your towels often. Of course, when you fold them in 4s like this, you get 8 clean sides to work with. So flip your towels often. And as a reminder as well, when you're done, discard the towels and applicators in the garbage. So already now, I can tell this is super slick, and this is going to get even slicker as the hours go by. There's only 1 hour of curing with this coating, but keep in mind, again, read the instructions of your coatings. The majority of the ceramic coatings on the market, they need 12 to 24 hours of curing before you expose the vehicle to any water or rain. So follow the instructions, but with a clean by pan, only an hour, you can drive off in the elements. So it allows you to quickly move on to something else. If you're a pro detailer, it allows you to free up the vehicle in your garage so you can tackle the next job without having to keep the car indoors for that 24-hour period. And then wait 7 days, regardless of which coating you apply, wait 7 days before you wash the vehicle or use any type of other chemicals, because you need 7 days for that full chemical resistance. And that's how simple this is. Now with the Clean by Pan, the organizer, the cool thing is after just 1 day, if you want to, or 12 hours minimum, you can use a pH neutral shampoo to wash the car once the coating has cured for those initial 12 hours. So if there's a bird bomb, for example, or there's a lot of dirt and you want to wash your vehicle, you can use the Clean by Pan, the organizer shampoo, pH neutral in solution, and that's not going to affect the coating. So that's a cool thing, because the majority of the coatings, you have to wait 7 days before you wash the vehicle. So always follow the instructions. So this is it. That's how simple that is. Super glossy. And as the days go by for that first week of curing, the coatings always are going to harden. So you're going to get even more of that gloss, even more of that slickness as the days go by. So we're going to talk about the care in just a few minutes towards the end of the video, but let's continue coating the rest. So if we do a vertical panel now, so you guys can see what that looks like. It's the same principle that applies. This coating, you can also apply on your plastic trim. The advantage of this is that it's also going to have a slight jetting effect on the plastics. What does that mean? It's going to darken them and enrich them. So you can apply this on all the exterior surfaces, vinyl wraps, PPF, paint, glass, plastics, wheels, lights, taillights, your metal exhaust tips, whatever it may be. The ceramic coating can be used. You can even use this on matte surfaces, so matte vinyl wraps, matte PPF, or matte paint. This will not add gloss to the matte surfaces, but it will make them darker and richer in appearance. So it's pretty cool. So with the coating, the same thing applies. What you want to do on any surface is always ensure, I like to box the panel out, so I'm doing the outer edges, and then I'm coming in with up and down and left to right. Be very methodical. And you want to ensure proper and even coverage. So as you guys can see, anybody can do this. If you've waxed a vehicle in the past, or let alone just if you're capable of washing a car, you can absolutely apply a ceramic coating. There are no worries to be had anymore. So especially with newer generation coatings like the Clean by Pan, the organizer coatings. And now for the plastic trim, you go over it, and that's going to make it nicer in appearance. So come on here, so you guys can see with time, this kind of oxidizes, fades. Of course, there's some scratches that can't be really corrected because that's deep inside. But once you go over it, look how this transforms the appearance. You see? Now, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but already the scratches have pretty much faded away and that oxidation is gone. And now you're going to have a hydrophobic effect. On plastics, you can expect these coatings. Typically, they last about a year or two. On wheels, the same thing, because it's a harsher environment. And this, you get the brunt of the elements and kind of that sand film effect with all the grit and dirt that's in the wheel system and on the roads. But on the paint, you can expect many years. Is it going to be actually 8 years? That truly depends. There's many variables, guys, that affect the durability. It's not because it's written that it's an 8 year, that it will last 8 years in any scenario. That applies for any coating out there. So for example, the many variables, how well you prepped the vehicle before the application. Did you follow the instructions? Did you fully decontaminate? Did you machine polish? Did you panel prep? All those are very important. The conditions and weather where you live. A vehicle that's exposed to harsh winter weather like here in Montreal, Canada, with the road salts and the extreme weathers, well, obviously, you're going to have less durability compared to a vehicle that's in California, for example, with beautiful weather. Also, the mileage of the vehicle. If you have a high mileage car like this one, over 100,000 kilometers or over 60,000 miles, and you do a lot of yearly mileage, it's going to last less compared to a weekend driven only car that stays in the garage. Is the vehicle like this one exposed to the elements all day, or is it a garage kept vehicle? That also affects. So there's many variables out there, but at the very least, if you get a good quality coating, it should be many years as long as you maintain it. And we're going to talk about maintenance towards the end. So now I can see, I don't know if you can see, come over, Andy. Can you see this rainbowing effect? Because I can see it. So once again, if we can move in a few angles and you can see that on the surface. Here, let me get that, because I can see it right there. So there we go. That's a very good example. You see that? That's that rainbowing or oil slick on water appearance. So that's a visual indicator that the reaction is happening. So although it's very quick to react, sometimes after just 30 seconds, you're going to see the rainbowing. Still, make sure you let it on the surface for 1 to 2 minutes. So now it's time to level. We're going to take our 2 towel system as usual. You're going to take one of the clean and dry sides of the towel. So first towel for that initial leveling. So the first towel, we're not buffing, right? Again, we're leveling the coating, making sure we got proper and even coverage. And if you followed that 1 to 2 minutes, it shouldn't feel draggy or smeary. And as you see here, it comes off so easily. So again, anybody can do this. If you've ever wondered, like, am I ever going to be able to apply a ceramic coating, or it seemed so like out of space for you guys? Well, not anymore, at least not with the Clean by Pan Deorganizer coating. For the plastic trim, just a simple wipe is more than enough. Then you take your second plusher, clean and dry microfiber towel, and then you do that insurance wipe. So basically this ensures that you covered all of the areas, you removed everything, and now you wiped the plastic trim. Look how beautiful this looks. And how do you know if you have any of those darkened high spots? You take an inspection light and then you go around just like this and you inspect your work. If you work panel per panel and you take your time, or if you're more experienced like me, over 28 years of detailing at this point, I can do an entire side and then come back, and I'm pretty confident, but I still always make an insurance check with the LED inspection light, and I see here, just pure perfection. Look how gorgeous this looks now. So you see how darkened this is? And of course, we get that gloss, we get that insane slickness. So now we're going to continue doing the rest of the vehicle. We're going to come back to show you the end results. We're going to be applying the Clean by Pan Deorganizer tire dressing. Gives you that perfect sheen, not too glossy, not too matte, that perfect in-between kind of look, and many weeks of durability on the tire. Gives you hydrophobic properties as well to help repel dirt and dust. Has UV protection, has the whole 9 yards to help protect your rubber and just give it that ultimate detailed look. All right, guys, so we're done coating the vehicle. Before the final reveal, so you guys can see the end results, we're going to apply the last finishing touch, which is a tire dressing. We're going to be using the Clean by Pan Deorganizer tire dressing. This can last 3 to 4 weeks, contrary to the majority of tire dressing that sometimes only last a month or until your next wash. This actually has some resistance to chemicals, so I like to use a foam applicator. But you can also put a spray trigger on this if you want, and then spray a brush if you have larger knobby tires, for example, on an off-road vehicle, and you can apply it that way, but with a foam applicator. So when you apply it, it looks glossy right now, but it will matte down in the next few hours to a more satin sheen, so that perfect Goldilocks appearance. So not too greasy or oily looking, and not too matte either, just that perfect sheen, and you're going to see that in the end results. But this is very easy to apply. It has self-leveling properties, so very, very simple. And it's going to give you hydrophobic properties. So that means it's going to repel water, dust, and dirt. It's going to make the tires a lot easier to clean during your maintenance washes. You can even do a few rounds of a tire cleaner if needed, and to reapply if you want to. If you feel that you need that extra look, you simply go around the tires when you clean your vehicle the next time. Also, another cool thing, once this dries to a matte sheen, some people prefer a glossier appearance. So when you apply the dressing, you go around the vehicle for the first layer, then you come back to the first tire you applied it to, and you immediately apply a second layer, and you're going to get a more glossy look. When you're done applying, you need 10 minutes of curing without driving in water or rain, and after that 10 minutes, you're good to go. It's dry to the touch. It doesn't sling, so none of that black dots splashing on your vehicle. As long as you prep your tires correctly, as we did, you clean your wheels and your tires, and then you apply it on a clean tire, and look at this look. Perfect appearance in just a few seconds. You did your tire. So another quick pro tip. We coated the roof as well, as you're going to see. For those of you, I'm 6'3", so I reach the majority, but to reach the center of the roof, you can use an aluminum work platform like this. So we're going to leave links in the description, but these can support up to 300 pounds, no problem. And it allows you to get some elevation to get to areas where they're harder to reach. So quick pro tip, get appropriate tools and things to do the job correctly. All right, guys, this is the time we've been waiting for. These are the end results. Look at the gloss. It is insane. So let's do a quick tour so you guys can see. So the car was washed. It was fully decontaminated, right? Both chemically with the iron remover and mechanically with the clay towel. It then was polished to perfection. A one-step polish was all that was needed. So a one-step correction with the blue foam polishing pad and the spray polish. And look at that mirror gloss. Of course, we used the panel prep spray to remove any polishing oils and residue. And then we applied the ceramic coating all over the wheel arches, all the paintwork, of course. We even restored these plastic trims. They look so good now. But look at the wheel arches themselves. This is beautiful. So now they look dark. All that plastic trim came back. This is just gorgeous. And look at the gloss. Like, even if we come closely, and I remind you, this is a 5-year-old car. Look at that. There are no scratches, no swirls left. Let's give you an idea here. Once again, look at this angle. This is like a mirror finish. So fantastic results. And as you guys saw, you can do all of this stuff at home. So yes, there are stone chips, there's pitting over the years, but look at the appearance. Look at the overall improvement. Do you guys remember what it looked like at the beginning of the video? And look at that. 2020 model. We're in 2025. And it still looks incredible. We were even able to remove a lot of the yellowing, the oxidation on the headlights, restore the chrome trim, because you can use the spray polish for pretty much everything. Of course, the tire dressing, it looks absolutely spectacular. And it's going to even matte down to a more of a sheen by tomorrow. So that looks beautiful. And again, look at the gloss, look at the pop, look at the slickness. Well, look, you can't see the slickness, but I'm going to show you the hydrophobic properties so you guys can see how good this is. Look at that. You see that mirror effect there? What do you guys think? Drop comments in the comment section. So I'm going to do something cool. I have a little water. We're not going to use the pressure washer because although it can get wet, I don't want it to become a mess. It's a beautiful end result. But in this solo battery powered sprayer, we're going to show you the water beading. Look at that. And of course, the water just wants to slide off the vehicle. Look at that. Look how tight and round those water droplets are. Let me show you this from another angle. Look at that. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. So you see that? Even bubbles within bubbles. So we call that bead porn. So overall, this is what the vehicle looks like. It came out stunning. So, Andy.
Hi, guys.
So, hello, Andy. Of course, my viewers, they know you, they love you. So your vehicle is 5 years old.
Yes.
110,000 kilometers, over 60,000 miles.
Yes, roughly.
So it's been through a lot, right? In the elements, outside. What do you think, first of all, of the Clean by Pan products that you saw in action? You've seen me use so much stuff through the decades.
Yes.
And your impressions on the ceramic coating, because you also felt the slickness. So let us know, let the culture know. What do you think?
Amazing. Honestly, guys, not just because obviously it's my brother's line, but just amazing products all around. While you were using each product, what I noticed is the smell. It was each smell is different. Each smell was amazing. It makes it fun to use each product. Each product seemed super easy to use as well, friendly user, which made me being more confident of taking care of on my own now.
So do you think you could have done these steps? Are you confident enough?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So see, it's not that complicated.
Yeah, just knowing the steps of what you need to do and following the right steps.
There you go.
Is what is important. But yeah, the slickness, that wet look that I love.
Feel it again with the rear of your hand there. So
yeah,
people,
no, it's
for
amazing.
the culture,
yeah,
right?
no, super smooth. Yeah, it's
and it's going to continue to get better over the coming days while it cures for that full week. But no, yeah, that's the purpose of the video, Andy, is I want to give the knowledge to people so they understand what steps are needed. And it's not that complicated once you understand the basics. And I want everybody to be able to do this at home. So if you say that they were easy to use, or at least that you'd feel confident in doing it,
yes.
I think a lot of people are going to get inspired. This whole job, right? We started at a little past noon and we finished the entire thing a little before 5. And I took my time, we were filming, we were having fun. So 4 to 5 hours for a typical SUV, but this is A to Z, everything was done, right? The whole 9 yards were applied, so have fun, enjoy it. And Andy, now, do you think you're going to take care of your vehicle? Because that's been the thing for my viewers who know. We got you the pressure washer, all the equipment necessary.
Yes, for sure.
You haven't really washed it. So now, yeah?
Yeah, I got my entrance done at home, a new house. So they finished the entrance. So yes, I'm ready to go. I have the right tools to do the job. And yeah, I have my brother follow to make sure that I'm doing the right steps. So it's gonna be no, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be easy. I'm excited to obviously take care of it, and now it's
Yes,
top notch.
of
So
course. And you know what? For maintenance, let me explain to the viewers. Actually, let me give you the camera so they can understand how simple it is. So with, again, this being a general guideline as well, for the majority of the ceramic coatings that exist on the market, every 2 to 3 months, you'd want to apply a ceramic spray sealant or a graphene spray sealant as a topper to maintain the coating's properties and to keep it durable through the years. So in the Clean by Pan lineup, we have something very good. We have the ceramic spray sealant, which on its own as a standalone can last many, many months. Depending on your conditions, 6 to 12 months is something you can expect if you use it on a dry surface for the longest durability. But you can also use this as a drying aid on a wet surface with your microfiber drying towel, or as a spray-on rinse-off sealant, as you saw with the wheels. So that you can expect 1 to 3 months typically of durability if you use it on a wet surface. And it's just super easy to use. Gloss, slickness, resistance to chemicals. You're getting everything in the whole 9 yards. Also in the lineup, you can use the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Quick Detailer. So where the ceramic spray sealant is made for long-term durability and more resistance to chemicals, the Quick Detailer is meant to be used after every wash as often as you guys want, as a drying aid or as a quick detailer on a dry surface. But we focused on gloss and slickness. You can expect just a few weeks of protection. That's not made for long-term. We have this one, right? So the Quick Detailer is for regular maintenance use. Now, for the Clean by Pan, the Organizer ceramic coating, you do not need to apply any toppers. So that's a big plus, right? So once you invested in the system, there are no toppers that are required. But now the question I get often asked is, Pan, I want to use the Quick Detailer or the ceramic spray sealant. It has so much gloss and slickness and I want to boost that every now and then. You absolutely can, no problem. Of course, they're made to work together. So the synergy is there, chemical compatibility, no worries. So if you want to, you can add either the ceramic spray sealant every now and then, probably every other month, not more than that because it's pretty stout, or the Quick Detail Spray you can use as often as you want after a wash. You're going to boost that gloss, boost that slickness, and get back to that kind of day one effect, right? Also, with the coating, now I applied on 2 vehicles, so my brother's Mazda CX-5 and also my parents' Subaru Forester, and we can tell there's still quite a bit left in there, and I did 2 average-sized SUVs. So with 130 ml bottle, you can easily coat 2 average-sized vehicles, and that includes, if you want, the plastic trim, the wheels, the glass, the headlights, taillights, your metal exhaust tips, whatever it may be, pretty much all the exterior surfaces. So a little goes a long way, and bang for buck. You also can get, so this is the 8-year packaging. So this is the flagship of the brand, but I also have a 3-year option. So the 150 USD for the 8-year competes with coatings that I've tested in the $300 to $500+ range. So this is really top tier performance at a decent price. And if you're a little tighter on the budget, for 100 USD, you get this guy here, the 3-year coating. You're getting that same overall performance. Of course, with the 8-year, you're getting a little more gloss, a little more slickness, but mainly the durability is what we focused on with this. But if the only coating I had in my lineup would be the 3-year, it would be banger. You're getting that same hydrophobic performance, crazy gloss, crazy slickness, crazy resistance to chemicals, all that stuff, and just as easy to apply as the 8-year. So these are 2 banger coatings. They come with everything you need inside there. So you're getting the applicator, the microfiber applicator, the instructions. Make sure to read the instructions regardless of which coating you're buying. So maintenance is pretty simple as far as toppers are concerned. And the most important thing for your maintenance is regular washing. For a ceramic coating, that's mainly the main thing, is to use something like this. So in solution, this is a pH neutral once you dilute it inside your bucket or inside your foam cannon if you want to use it as a pre-wash as well. So the Clean by Pan shampoo, fantastic, great degreasing capabilities, dual surfactants, rinses freely. You can use this in direct sunlight, no problem. And the scent. The scent is just insane. Great lubricity on the surface, just fantastic overall. So for maintenance, that's pretty much it. Every now and then, if you do have accumulated road film, you're going to be able to use the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Decon soap. So that Decon shampoo, that's going to be a higher alkaline one. And if you have mineral deposits, water spots, those kinds of things, or mineral accumulation, you can use the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Acidic shampoo. So that one is going to help to break down those minerals. So depending on which conditions you're in, you can use either or both. You can start with the pre-wash with the alkaline snow foam and finish the bucket wash, the contact wash with the acidic. So every now and then, especially during the winter times, it's good to remove all that dirt, the traffic film, the mineral deposits, all that kind of stuff. But for the majority of the time, all you'll need is this guy, pH neutral, just fantastic. And that's pretty much it for maintenance. Every now and then, for the chemical side, you're going to have to decontaminate. It's recommended every 2 or 3 months to use something like the Clean by Pan, the Organizer Iron Remover. It's going to remove the brake dust. And yes, it's safe to use on ceramic coated vehicles. No problem. This is a great decon. On this ceramic coating, on the Clean by Pan, you can use the clay towel from Clean by Pan because this has no abrasives. Again, this is a synthetic perforated decontamination towel, that newer generation, ultrafine grade. And as long as you combine it with great lubrication, either a dedicated clay lube or the Clean by Pan shampoo in your soapy water, or you can even dilute this in a spray bottle to use as a clay lubricant. And I think I have it, yep. I always have it a batch ready. So the Clean by Pan as the clay lubricant, dilution instructions on the website, by the way. You can even dilute this as a bug pre-treat. It's just fantastic. So then chemical decon, iron remover, tar remover, if you have any tar deposits that accumulate, very, very simple. And that's pretty much it for maintenance. It's super straightforward. And as long as you keep it clean, right? Don't forget, coatings are not magical force fields. They are not bulletproof. They are not designed to protect against scratches or stone chips. You have paint protection film for that. What coatings are designed to provide is gloss, slickness, self-cleaning properties to make the vehicle easier to clean, that UV protection, that resistance to chemicals, all that kind of stuff, the great hydrophobic properties, the water beading, the water sheeting, all that stuff to keep the vehicle looking cleaner for longer. We always notice that a ceramic coated vehicle in a parking lot, even when it's dirty, always looks cleaner than a non-coated vehicle. Well, those are the self-cleaning properties that really help maintain this fantastic look to it. What else? So to go over what we had, again, I'll leave the links to all this stuff in the description. We cleaned the vehicle with a Clean by Pan, the Organizer shampoo. We used the iron remover from Clean by Pan with the clean clay towel for the mechanical and chemical decontamination. We polished the surface with the spray polish from Clean by Pan with the blue foam polishing pads. These are amazing, by the way. The pads in my lineup, they're made by Buff and Shine. So a great collaboration because they're makers of some incredible pads. We used the Clean by Pan, the Organizer, fantastic dual action polisher. So 15mm stroke, and it has a 5-inch backing plate for the 5-inch pads, but you can also get 6-inch pads and 3-inch pads if you want to. We then used the Clean Panel Prep spray to remove the polishing oils and residue. We, of course, applied the flagship, I call my coatings the crown jewels of my lineup, the Clean by Pan 8-year ceramic coating. You saw how easy that was. And then, last but not least, we finished with the clean tire dressing for that nice finish. We had a bunch of different brushes. So the Ultra Soft Clean by Pan brushes, you have the short and the tall and the boar hair versions as well, Clean by Pan. So you have your assortment of detailing brushes and many more things, items, and products to come. Again, I'll link all of this stuff in the description under the video. I hope you enjoyed this because now you can see it's not that hard to do this stuff at home as long as you follow the instructions, you follow the steps in this video, take your time, do it well, have fun when you're doing it. Normally, if I wasn't recording, I'd have some music playing in the background and I just enjoy myself. This for me is soothing and relaxing and it just puts a smile on my face. I made my brother's day because his vehicle now looks better than you, right? And it feels better than you. So it's just awesome. I hope you'll have a great time doing it. And again, for maintenance, it's going to be super simple. We hooked him up with all the good stuff. And that's pretty much it, guys. So also, if you want to learn more about specific things, right? Like paint correction, for example, I have many tutorials on my channel. You can go check those out. I'll actually leave linked one right here for you guys to check out, a paint correction tutorial for beginners. I think you guys are absolutely going to enjoy that. We'll talk about everything, the pads, the compounds, the polishes, the steps, machine speed, all that kind of stuff, and how to care for your pads and all that good stuff. And by the way, yeah, for the pads, in the pad washer, we had the Clean by Pan, the Organizer rinseless wash solution. This is a banger of a rinseless wash. If you guys don't have access to a garden hose or pressure washer to clean your car, as long as you have a bucket with water in it, you can use this much safer compared to a waterless wash, which is very different. So a rinseless wash, super safe. This leaves a nice slick finish at the end to the touch, and it's a very, very easy to use, very pleasant as well. Nothing that cures on the surface, so not long-lasting protection. After your next wash, it'll go away, but it's just to have that nice finish effect when you're done rinseless washing your vehicle. And by the way, you can either use a shampoo to clean your ceramic coated car, or you can use a rinseless wash. They're all safe on a ceramic coated vehicle, whether it's the Clean by Pan or another brand, whatever you guys like. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this. Leave comments in the comment section. Give a shout out to Andy for helping me film this as well. Appreciate having my brother over. And in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and we'll see you on the next one.